In this video tutorial, you will learn how to set up time synchronization of an ED2 series IED. Next, we will consider setting in the Configurator software. Similar settings can be made in the Smart Monitor software. Before starting to work with the configuration, it is recommended that you watch the video tutorial on configuring of ED2 IEDs opening and saving of configuration file. All IEDs of the ED2 series support time synchronization using the following protocols: SNTP, IEC 60870-5-103, IEC 60870-5-104, Modbus TCP, Modbus RTU, as well as using the input sync pulse and PPS. Additionally, depending on the IED type, the IED can support PTP version 2 and IRIG-B protocols. PTP synchronization is available in all IEDs, except the 1/3 of 19-inch size, with Ethernet 1 interface on the back of the IED represented by 2 ports. IRIG-B synchronization is supported in all IEDs, provided there is an additional sync connector. In IEDs with a 1/3 of 19-inch IEDs, IRIG-B is always supported, and the sync pulse is supplied to terminals X19 and X110. Up-to-date information on the connection to the connectors is given in the schematic diagrams and on the marking of the back plate. You can configure time synchronization in System Parameters, the Time Synchronization tab. In the Software Time Synchronization area, select the interface that will synchronize from the drop-down list. Next, if you select the Ethernet interface, select the synchronization protocol that you want from the list. If you do not have the required protocol in the list, you can add it in the Ethernet protocols, clicking on the Add button and selecting the protocol from the list of available ones. Please note that PTP synchronization is possible only on the Ethernet 1 interface, which contains 2 ports. In addition, when you select PTP, the use of hardware synchronization methods, such as PPS and IRIG-B, is automatically prohibited. At the same time, some automatic settings are performed for the correct operation of PTP. For RS-485 interfaces, the synchronization protocol is set automatically depending on which communication protocol is assigned to this port in the Communication Parameters tab. Next, enter the value of adjusting the internal clock of the IED. This is necessary to set the local time if the IED is synchronized in UTC. If you need the automatic seasonal time translation function, check the automatic season time option. This completes the configuration of time synchronization using the IEC 60870-5-103, IEC 60870-5-104, and Modbus protocols. For SNTP and PTP protocols, you must configure additional parameters. To do this, go to the Ethernet Protocols tab and select the necessary protocol. Unchecking the protocol-enabled parameter allows you to disable the protocol if it is not necessary. When you synchronize via SNTP, the IED can use up to 4 SNTP servers. You can select a server to synchronize in 2 ways. If you select automatic, any available server will be selected, and if you select by priority, the server will be selected according to predefined priorities. If there are fewer than 4 servers on the network, leave the activated checkboxes the required number of servers. Next, set the IP address of the server. We recommend you to leave the rest of the parameters as default or, if necessary, change them in accordance with the project. When synchronizing over PTP, the protocol parameters are also set according to the project. Set the synchronization period. The clock type parameter specifies the synchronization algorithm boundary in which the IED synchronizes from the upstream switch operating in the master clock mode, or transparent, in which the IED is synchronized from the main source of the exact time, and the switching devices in between add to the PTP data the time spent on processing by the switch itself. If you want the function of reading and writing PTP settings of the IED via PTP control packets, check the box Management via PTP. In the following parameters, the minimum and maximum allowable time of discrepancy between the local clock and the source of reference time in nanoseconds. Next, depending on the selected type of clock, configure the following parameters. For the boundary synchronization algorithm, the following are specified. Domain. If the domain is not used, leave the value set 0. Then the priorities of the first and second ports of the Ethernet 1 interface. If necessary, a difference of 37 seconds between the Coordinated Universal Time UTC and the timeline of the PTP protocol, which is considered exactly according to the atomic clock. To count this difference, check the parameter UTC offset is valid. For the transparent algorithm, the following are specified. An algorithm for measuring the delay from the master clock to the slave, transmitted in PTP messages. It can be peer-to-peer, in which the measurement of delay in addition to the PTP message is carried out on each network switch. End-to-end, in which the measurement of delay and its addition to the PTP message is carried out by the master clock. Or set the value to none, at which the delay is not taken into account. If necessary, you can enable the functioning of PTP synchronization regardless of the installed domain. Next, select the network protocol used to transmit PTP messages, standard Ethernet, or the simple, but less reliable UDP protocol. Next, the domain is specified. If the domain is not used, leave the value set 0. Check the local clock synchronization parameter, and if necessary, specify the virtual network and its priority. In some cases, hardware-based PPS synchronization is used with software synchronization protocols. To enable it, check the box with the appropriate parameter. Please note that in order to use this synchronization, IEDs of all types except 1/3 of 19 inches must be synchropulsed to terminals X29 and X210. And in IEDs with a 1/3 of 19 inches, IEDs must be connected to terminals X18 and X19. Up-to-date information on the connection to the connectors is given in the schematic diagrams and on the marking of the back plate. The following settings are configured for PPS synchronization. The sync pulse period. In most cases, it is equal to 1 second, but if the source of sync pulses produces pulses with a different period, set the appropriate value. The fixed transfer is set along the edge-triggered or fault-triggered activation, i.e. synchronization will occur when the pulse appears or disappears. The minimum pulse duration is set to offset from interference. The calibration value is used to consider the time spent on the passage of a hardware pulse via the conductor from the source to the receiver and its processing by the receiver. Allowed deviation of sync pulse. An external synchronization is selected in the synchronization source. To enable IRIG-B synchronization, check the box with an appropriate parameter. Please note that only one hardware synchronization method can be active at a time. In the IRIG-B protocol settings, select a protocol modification, B003 or B007. The difference between modifications is in an additional information on year in B007 compared to seconds, minutes, hours, and days, year data. Therefore, synchronization by IRIG B007 is used independently, i.e. without software synchronization. In the synchronization source parameter, select IRIG-B electrical. After editing the configuration, you need to save it via File menu, or by clicking on Save button on the toolbar. This ends up the video tutorial. We hope it proved itself useful to you. Thank you for attention.